My father did not just evict me. He turned it into a theatrical production. I was standing in the middle of a grand ballroom. I was surrounded by 100 of the city's most powerful developers and city council members. Then, a massive banner dropped from the ceiling. In bright gold letters, it read, "Clean House, Happy Eviction, Cassandra." My father, Marcus, stood on the stage. His glass of expensive scotch was raised high. He told the crowd he was finally pruning the dead weight from his family so his business could thrive. He called me a clerical parasite. He said I was a data entry ghost who had lived off his hard work for 30 years. The room erupted in laughter. My stepmother smirked from the front row. My stepbrother recorded my face, waiting for the tears to fall. But I did not cry. I did not even look embarrassed. I just checked my watch. Because Marcus, the king of construction, had made a fatal error. He thought he was the architect of his empire. He forgot that I was the one who had been secretly holding up the foundation for 5 years. And in exactly 10 minutes, I was going to pull the support beams and let his entire world collapse into the dirt. To understand how we got to that ballroom, you have to understand the myth of Marcus Sterling. My father is a man who believes that if you are not sweating, you are not working. He built Sterling Construction into a regional powerhouse. Or so he told everyone, in his mind. He was a self-made titan. To him, my career as an urban planner and compliance consultant was just playing with computers. 3 years ago, I moved back into the family estate in the wealthy suburbs of Chicago. My father told the neighbors he was graciously housing his struggling daughter. In reality, I moved back because I had seen a red flag alert on the city public tax lien database. My father's empire was a hollow shell. He had been hiding massive construction defects and unpaid property taxes behind a web of shell companies that were about to fold. I did not say a word. I just went to work. From my small home office, I became the shadow architect. I used my 6-figure salary to quietly pay off the $18,000 delinquent tax bill on the house. I used my city council connections to hide the fact that his $2 million garage and infinity pool were built without a single valid permit. I managed his entire payroll and project management architecture through my private servers. His own office staff was too incompetent to use basic cloud software. I was the invisible safety net. I was the person who ensured the city inspectors never looked too closely at his job sites. But narcissists do not see safety nets. They only see people they think they can step on to look taller. The night of the party, I walked up to the stage. The laughter died down as I approached my father. He looked down at me with absolute contempt. "Do not make a scene, Cassandra," he whispered. "Take your bags and go. Your computer games will not pay the rent here anymore." I leaned in close. I did not yell. I did not even look angry. "You are right, Marcus," I said softly. Computers do not build houses, but they do manage the digital infrastructure of every permit, payroll, and tax exemption that is currently keeping you out of prison. Enjoy your party. It is the last thing you will ever own. I turned around and walked out into the freezing Chicago night. I did not go to a shelter. I drove to the penthouse I had bought in the city 2 years ago, the one my family did not even know existed. The first rule of a corporate counterstrike is simple. Disconnect the life support. I sat at my triple monitor setup and opened my master dashboard. For 5 years, I had maintained every digital vein of Sterling Construction. Step 1. The payroll blackout. Marcus never bothered to learn how the payment gateway worked. He just saw the money leave the bank and the workers stay happy. At 11 p.m., I revoked the system access keys. I deleted the automated direct deposit schedules. The workers were supposed to be paid the following morning. Now their accounts would remain empty. Step 2. The blueprint purge. All of the active project blueprints, the structural engineering reports, and the site measurements were stored on my private encrypted cloud server. I did not delete them. That would be illegal. I simply archived them and changed the access protocols. When his foreman showed up at the job sites the next day, they would find their tablets locked. No blueprints, no measurements, no work. Step 3. The compliance withdrawal. This was the lethal blow. In the city of Chicago, every major construction project requires a designated compliance officer of record to vouch for the zoning safety. That person was me. I drafted a formal, one-sentence resignation to the building department, effective immediately. By law, the second a compliance officer resigns, so every active job site under their name is automatically flagged for a stop work order. I did not stop there. I went to the city anonymous whistleblower portal. I uploaded high-resolution photos of the unpermitted infinity pool and the structural shortcuts Marcus had taken on the garage of the family estate. I flagged the zoning violations I had been fixing for years. I hit enter and felt the weight of 5 years of disrespect lift off my shoulders. The first domino fell on Monday morning. Marcus was at the office when his head foreman called. "The tablets are dead, Marcus. We cannot see the structural loads for the 50-story foundation. If we do not pour the concrete in 2 hours, we lose the $200,000 batch." Marcus tried to log in. Access denied. He tried to call the IT company. They told him the account was in my name, and they could not talk to him. By Tuesday, the workers realized their checks had not cleared. 70 construction workers showed up at the front gates of the Sterling estate, demanding their money. My stepmother, Beatrice, had to lock herself in the kitchen because she was terrified of the men her husband had cheated. On Wednesday, the ghost architect delivered the final strike. A fleet of city vehicles arrived at the Sterling mansion. I watched the feed from the hidden cameras I had left in the foyer. A senior inspector from the building department handed my father a red tag notice. "Mr. Sterling," the inspector said, "we received an anonymous report regarding the unpermitted infinity pool and the structural instability of the north wing. This property is now classified as unfit for habitation. You and your family have 4 hours to vacate until a full forensic audit is completed." Marcus screamed. He threatened to call the mayor. The inspector did not blink. He just pointed to the police escort waiting in the driveway. By Friday, the bank had frozen the company operating accounts due to the stop work orders on all his major projects. The investors pulled out. The $3 million business was hemorrhaging $50,000 a day in legal penalties and idle labor costs. I agreed to meet Marcus at a cheap diner near the industrial park. No marble, no scotch, just cheap coffee and the smell of failure. He looked 10 years older. His custom suit was wrinkled. Beatrice was sitting next to him, her fake pearls looking pathetic in the fluorescent light. "Turn it back on, Cassandra," Marcus croaked. His voice was broken. "We know it was you. My lawyers say if you do not release the blueprints and the payroll access, they will sue you for sabotage." I took a slow sip of my coffee. I reached into my leather briefcase and pulled out a single, thick black folder. I slid it across the sticky table. "There is no sabotage, Marcus," I said calmly. "There is only accounting. That folder contains the receipts for the $450,000 I have spent over the last 5 years. $112,000 in property taxes you forgot to pay. $200,000 in private payroll subsidies when your accounts were empty. $138,000 in compliance fines I paid out of my own pocket to keep the city off your back." I leaned forward, my eyes locking onto his. "As for the blueprints, they are stored on a server I pay for. The compliance certification was under my license. I did not sabotage you. I simply removed the freeloader support. You said computers do not build houses? Well, it turns out, without the person behind the computer, your houses are just piles of illegal bricks." Beatrice started to cry. "Where are we supposed to go? They boarded up the house. They are taking the cars. You should have thought about that before you printed that banner," I said. "You wanted a clean house, Marcus. Now you have one. It is empty, it is red-tagged, and it is about to be foreclosed on." Marcus reached out, trying to grab my hand. "Please, honey, we are family. Just help us one more time. I will take down the post. I will tell everyone I was wrong." I stood up and put on my coat. Family is a living trust, Marcus, so it requires mutual respect to remain valid. You violated the terms of that trust a long time ago. I am not your data monkey anymore. I am just a stranger who happens to know where all your bodies are buried. I left a $20 bill on the table, enough to cover their coffee and a bus ride. As I drove back to my penthouse, I checked Facebook one last time. Marcus had deleted the farewell party post. In its place, my aunts and uncles were posting frantic questions about why the Sterling estate was being boarded up and why the company was in bankruptcy. I did not answer them. I did not need to. Marcus Sterling had spent his life building a myth of strength on a foundation of my silence. He thought public humiliation would keep me in my place. He forgot that the person who knows the system is the only one who can survive when the system fails. I am Cassandra Sterling. I am a shadow architect, and I have learned that the most powerful thing you can do when someone underestimates you is to let them be exactly right, until the very second they need you to be wrong. So, I have a question for you. If your family threw a party to celebrate your eviction while you were secretly paying their bills, would you have given them a warning? Or would you have let the red tag be their only notification? Let me know your strategy in the comments below. And if you love watching entitled empires crumble into the dust, hit that subscribe button. I have plenty more blueprints for revenge.